Hey guys, so I'm gonna show you how to take your engine from looking like this to this. Hey guys, I'm gonna show you how to take your engine from looking like this to this. To do this process of cleaning your engine, you're gonna need a couple of things. One, you're gonna want a tarp or some kind of plastic thing that you can shield the engine with while you're cleaning the upper liner. I just have this big plastic tarp that I got for like a couple bucks. You can also use a trash bag or really anything that you want. You're gonna need a couple different brushes. I've got two soft bristle brushes here. One's a little stiffer than the other. But they'll make easy work of any of that dirt that we can easily access at least. And then for the harder spots, I've got a more fine comb brush that I can get into those little nooks and crannies with. And you can also use a pipe cleaner or a toothbrush if you have those. They'll make good work of any of that dirt as well. You're also gonna want some microfiber towels. So I've got a couple different types here. I've got some really skinny ones that, I'll probably just throw away. And then I have some bigger microfiber towels just because they mop up a lot of the stuff a lot easier and they'll actually soak up any of the water. So when we're working around the engine, you don't want to spray it directly with water. You can maybe throw some APC on there and then wipe it up after you agitate it, but you don't want to like hose it down or anything like that. Another tool I forgot to mention is having an air compressor. It can be nice to kind of blow out a lot of that loose dirt. Feel more than welcome to grab gloves for this because it is going to get dirty. These things are like criminally tight. And then I have 3 different chemicals that I'm going to be using. So one is the APC, and I've got this mixed 1 to 7, so it's a little bit heavier, but it's not gonna like corrode anything. The other is a carpet cleaner, and you may or may not need this. It's literally just for the hood liner. And then the last is the rinseless wash, and we'll probably mainly use it for the paint on the hood. If the hood liner looks like it's falling off, just don't spray it down too heavily with water because it might rip it off. So we got the battery back there, so we're gonna be taking that out. And then you can also take the intake out if you want more room because that's usually pretty easy to remove. If you do have a metal wire brush, you can like polish things like your alternator there, or if there's parts of the engine intake that are metallic and that you can see, you can polish those up with the wire brush to just kind of de-scuff it, but I'm not gonna be doing that today. So this battery is pretty easy to remove. So I've got a 10mm socket right there. I'm basically gonna loosen that up. I just have a 10mm wrench, nothing crazy. And then we also have the positive, so you can just take off the plastic covering if there is any. And you just remove this main nut and everything else should come with it. And once you remove the battery, then you should be pretty much good to go. You always start with the negative terminal. All right, there we go. So you just kind of have to give it some working actions. And now I'm gonna do the same thing with the positive terminal. So we got this whole unit off, which is great. And now the battery is basically disconnected. I think if I take this bracket off, then we'll be able to just pull it right out, which is nice and easy. There we go, nice easy work. Just make sure you're being kind of careful with it. I'm like losing blood circulation to my hands because of these gloves. As soon as you drop a screw, you're losing that. Good, should be able to just pull out the battery now. Holy poop! What did they put in these things? Brakes? Okay, that battery was at least 40 pounds, but we got it removed. And now we'll be able to clean where the battery was as well, so that's kind of beneficial. I've just got this air blowing tool, so just shoots out a nice little concentrated stream of air, which I can use, to blow up any of the loose debris real quick. So just gonna go and do that. And I'd recommend having some eye and ear protection, just because it can get kind of loud and blow. Obviously, it's going to be blowing a lot of dirt around, so just make sure you have some glasses on or something. Let's go ahead and mask off the engine and get these leaves cleaned up. We're gonna start with this upper portion here. You don't wanna use a pressure washer. It's way too much power for this. And to do that properly, we're gonna wanna make sure that the engine doesn't get too much water on it and doesn't soak, because there are those sensitive parts like the alternator, and you have also the spark plugs. Usually you can drive in rain just fine, but the water is coming in through the front and from the bottom of the vehicle, and not usually the top. Just the fact that you're gonna be rinsing down this top portion, it's gonna be falling directly onto the engine. Could be something that's a little abnormal in terms of like a use case for a car. So make sure your engine's not too hot, because if it is, it might melt the trash bag or whatever plastic you're using onto it, and you don't really want that because that'll ruin it. So you can go ahead and just throw on a... We're gonna spray some rinseless wash on the paint portion here, and then we're gonna get some carpet cleaner right on the headliner portion. So we got the hood and then the headliner. We're gonna wanna agitate it with a nice light brush. So I'm just starting with the rinseless. And then I'm just gonna go at it with a micro. Ooh, look at all that dirt, guys. And then get some more rinseless wash here. Just clean up anything that, you know, is still there. It looks like there was so much dirt that it kind of streaked the dirt on there. So I've never seen that level of dirt before. I have to go twice with the McKees. And now we're just going to get some cleaner on that hood liner and rinse it down and agitate it a little bit. And that should get that looking good again. You can see the headliner's looking pretty clean though, just from that quick pass and scrub. Now we're just gonna wet it down. You can see all this water pooling up on that engine thing. That's why we have the tarp there, and there's a substantial amount of dirt in there. The goal is you want to get everything but the engine so then you can isolate the engine after, which is going to be the hardest part. So for this portion, you're going to want that APC, which stands for all-purpose cleaner, and it's like a general degreaser. You don't want it to be too heavy though. You don't want to risk ruining anything. That could be a little more sensitive. So just trying to get a nice light layer. And you also want to make sure that any caps, like for this brake fluid here, or where the engine oil goes in, or the windshield wiper fluid, just make sure that they're well sealed. You guys might have a hard time believing this, but I actually lost all the footage. My tripods like fell over and it stopped the recording, and then my phone died, so I had to go and recharge it while I did some of the work. What I do is I take my engine bay brush, which is just a brush that I've designated to use for the engine bay, and it's got a little bit softer bristles, and I work the APC into the surface, and I'm doing this everywhere except for where the engine is. See, like I'm waiting to see where I need APC before I apply more, because you want to use as little, you know, water and cleaning stuff as possible. So now we're just gonna rinse it off. Nice light spray. It also might help to rinse out your brush every now and then just to keep it nice and clean. And for most of the paint, you can also consider using the rinseless wash, but as long as you're rinsing off the APC well, you really shouldn't have any problems using it. So we got the majority of the engine bay done. We got all the sides done and the hood part. Now what we're gonna do is you're gonna take the masked area off, the engine portion off very carefully. And you can see after we've taken that off, there's basically no water on the engine, which is just exactly as we want it. And this is gonna be usually your dirtiest part. You just wanna make sure engine oil is capped off, like always, dipsticks in. You don't want any water or cleaner getting in there. You're gonna wanna be very gentle with how much cleaner you're putting on. You're gonna just wanna spray it on with the spray bottle, and you just wipe it up with microfiber. You don't want any of that remaining moisture on there because that could cause some problems. So if you want, you could use the rinseless wash again, or you could use the APC. Either one will work great. So you can see this rinseless wash is like crushing this dirt, like absolute destruction. So I'm not trying to spray too much. And you can see there's like a lot of dirt in these areas here, and to get those, we'll have to use our brush. So with the engine cover off, I've just got, you know, this little area under here I can clean up, and then also you can see with the rinseless wash, it does a good job, but sometimes with this heavier dirt, it kind of just mops it around. So that makes me want to grab some APC. And now that this is off the car, I can spray with the pump foamer, no problem. Hey guys, so brief intermission. You guys are running out of battery, so please hear me out. While you guys were asleep, I just decided to clean up some of these tubings. And there is some kind of like dirt on this metallic part here and some on this part that I wanted to show you guys how to take care of. One thing to keep in mind is this engine's really old, so this protective wire tubing is straight up just disintegrating to my touch. So I literally can't clean it without totally destroying it. I went ahead and got myself a bottle of APC just to spray it a little bit more controlled because the rinseless wash wasn't doing as well as I wanted it to. And then I've got some like really trashy rags because this engine is extremely dirty and it's kind of ruining my tools. So what you can do if you want to be really safe is you can just spray the cleaner onto the rag, give it a good amount, and then just apply it to whatever you're trying to clean. It's just with this engine, you obviously do not want to rinse it off with water by just like throwing your hose at it. So that's why we have to take this kind of slow. Oh shit. This flipping tube is just disintegrating, man. Just brushing it with my finger. That's why it's always kind of good to get into your engine bay to see really how things are holding up too. And it also helps by taking off all the grime, which acts as a layer of insulation. You're helping to keep your car cool and running well. And look at how dirty this thing is getting. I've done like 2 inches of this engine bay. So another thing you can do, if something's really hard to reach, you can just give a quick double spray into your brush. Try and get some of it. I don't think I really put enough on. You don't want to do too much because it will start dripping off the brush. And this is like super brittle too, so I'm really just trying not to ruin everything here. So you got to be careful with these older engines. I think this thing has like 300,000 miles on it, so just make sure you're paying attention to how old the car is. So I'm just trying my best to work any dirt into the microfiber and out of the block. I'm getting a bunch of dirt on myself. And if you're really trying to get into the cracks and crevices, you might want to give your car some time to dry out after. All right, so I got you guys on the other side. And there's really nothing for you guys to see. It's so dark in there. But there's like this hubcap full of oil all over it. I'm guessing that's just from spilling it while you're trying to pour it in. If you can see how it's silver now, it wasn't silver before, it was more straight up black. Like the tip of this brush here, it's all black. There's obviously more to it, but I really can't get it without taking the engine out. So I found like a stink bug under the engine cover and I got them with some APCs. So it looks like there's just kind of a tube that goes to nothing. Just showing that you should try and be gentle with some of this stuff because it is old. At least with a car like this, it's a lot older. So now that we got the engine all cleaned up, looking good, we can start applying some plastic protectant. So I just got this dressing, diluted about 1 to 5, and then a microfiber towel to dry it up. This will help to restore any of that old plastic, and I won't be applying it to everything just because of how old it is. At least with this cover portion, it's gonna be pretty easy. It's just with some of these wire covers that are really old that I'm not gonna be able to use it properly. So you just spray it on nice and easy. You don't want too much, and you just rub it in. For the tubes, I'm just throwing it on the towel, and then you can wipe the towel on the tube. So you can see how different it looks where I have it applied. Really helps to bring out the shine of older plastics. Yeah, and the stuff you put onto the towel is gonna last a while, so use it sparingly. And this will really help any like a plastic that's looking like kind of dirtish, like you know how it has that brown stain to it. It'll really help to remove that from it so it doesn't have that appearance. And you can see there's still some dirt that I'm getting off from these surfaces, which is fine. So you can see it's looking a lot fresher overall, and that's just kind of what this helps to solidify. It's that fresh plastic look. So the last portion I want to get is this trim here up at the top. So I'm just gonna work it. And this is gonna be usually the most sunburnt area. You can put your wipers into some kind of maintenance mode if you want to make it a little easier on yourself. All the plastic's dressed up. It's looking crisp. The last portion we got to do is that engine cover. Let's just get that engine cover back in there. Bam. Let's get that battery back in. I just want to make sure that the area under the battery is nice and dry, just in case. All right, here we go. Get the frick out of my way. So it's like there's like a little cradle for it, and I couldn't get in the cradle. These things are nasty heavy. So now we'll just give it some time to dry out, and then we'll run it up and make sure everything's working all right, and we're good to go. The after result looking great though, I gotta say. So I'm thoroughly impressed. And guys, I hope you learned a little something from this video and you learned to take care of your engine because it can help you kind of keep an eye on what's going on and see if anything's busting up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you